the most for student loans, or not really student loans, but how to get the most student aid from the school that you're choosing for your child. A lot of times, what we do is we do this backwards. We talked about it yesterday. We pick out the college and university that our kids want to go to based on maybe it was the shirt that they wore growing up that had, I wore a Notre Dame shirt growing up. So I thought, wow, I really want to go to Notre Dame. No reason other than Joe Montana went there. Maybe it's because we grew up watching the Ohio State Buckeyes on Saturday. We decided we wanted to go to Ohio State University. And then we make the plans to go about doing that and often find out there's a shortfall. Well, what we need to do instead is we need to figure out how much resources we have. We talked a little bit about that yesterday, but then also find a school that will match the needs we have. And the best way to do that is to know what kind of student you have. So as we go through and we think about what college we want to go to, and I talk about what kind of student you have and what the 4 different types of students are, if you find this valuable, I do want to ask you to do me a favor, click like and click subscribe so that you can get more videos like this. All right, let's go ahead and let's dive right in. I'm going to show you a slide that I've built that will kind of help us categorize the 4 different kinds of students. Now, when we think about financial aid, there's 2 types of financial aid that schools give. They can either give needs-based aid, which means if you qualify for the school, they're then going to look at your financial need and they're going to see how much money you need and give you based off of your financial need. This is called needs-based. Other schools are merit-based. So now merit-based means if you qualify with grades and extracurricular activities and they think you're the right type of student for the school, they'll give you merit-based aid. So they'll look at your grades and say, based off of who you are as a student, here's what we're going to give you. Right? Now, each student will fall on one of 4 areas. And the first type of student is the type of student that is both high need and high merit. So this is a student who has a high need. They're from a lower income family, maybe only one parent, something along those lines. They don't have a lot of resources saved, don't have high incomes to provide resources. So there's a high need, but they're also high merit. So this is a student who, while there's a lot of need, they also get really good grades. They're an excellent student. They work hard in school. They have good extracurriculars. They have everything that they need to help them get where they're going and to be a student that is successful in the school. So the school wants them. And because the school wants them, they're willing to give merit-based aid. So this type of student can really pick from a lot of different colleges. This is the type of student who has the most options available to them because they can, in terms of financial aid, because they can get both merit and they can get need-based aid. But that takes us then to the second type of student that we have, which is a high merit, low needs based. So this is the type of student that they have excellent grades. They're a fantastic student, but their parents have a little more in terms of resources. So there's not a lot of schools that are going to look at this student and say, yeah, we're going to give you money because your parents don't have it, because their parents have the money. These are the schools that are going to say, we really want you in this school because you're the type of student that this school needs to keep our high standards. So you want to avoid, with these type of schools, you want to avoid schools that are interested first and foremost in dishing out merit, in dishing out needs-based aid, because you're not going to really get a whole lot. You want to look instead to schools that are going to give you merit-based aid and are going to reward you for being an excellent student. So this is a really good opportunity where everyone can kind of get into this merit-based if you work hard enough and you do all the right extracurriculars. Even if your grades aren't great, you can still get merit-based scholarships. Okay, so that's student number 2. You probably see where this is going. We'll go down into this corner and we'll look at student number 3, which is now a high need but low merit. So this is a student whose grades are not as good, but they don't have the financial wherewithal to get into a college. This is a really, in terms of high need, this is a lot of the category, because generally what you see is households that have lower income tend to have lower grade students, not so much less intelligent, but lower grade. There's no one, maybe the mom is a single mom and they're working 2 jobs. There's no one there to help get the homework done or make sure they're studying the night before. So maybe a very smart student, but not as great with grades. Quite frankly, this is the category I would have fallen in as a kid because I aced every test I took, but I never did the homework because my mom was working really hard to pay the bills and wasn't home a lot of times to make sure that I did the homework. So I had classes that I didn't get good grades in because I didn't do the projects, and I had classes that I got good grades in because they were all test based, and it all really boiled down to how much of it was test and how much of it was based on homework and projects. So this was the category I went into. Now this is the category that you may not find all those really high desirable schools. You're not going to find a school like Harvard on this list, but this is the category of student also who may be best off at a smaller state college. Cleveland State University may be a good one for them. Or even a community college for 2 years, followed by then transferring out to a state college, because you can get high needs met in those type of schools, and they're not going to require as much in terms of on the merit side. All right, and then the last category is the low merit, low need. So these are the students. These are the students that their grades aren't great, and their family has the money and the resources. These are the ones there's just not a lot of help out there for you. Not a lot of need-based help is going to be available. Not a lot of merit-based help is going to be available. You're going to have to pocket a lot of these expenses. So in this situation, again, you're probably thinking a smaller state college to save the cost on, and then maybe transfer to a larger university if that's your desire. Again, take the 2 years of community college, 2 years of state college, and see how it works. Now, the good thing about this low merit, low need category, and also the high need, low merit category, is you can really turn yourself around. You can take those 2 years in either a smaller state college or a community college. You can save a lot of money going to community college, but then you can really come out of that with really, really good grades and put yourself in a really great situation. So again, I was a high need, low merit student coming out of high school. I finished with about a 3 average. And that was in the last couple of years. The earlier couple of years, not quite as good. So my cumulative was about 2.7. I went to community college for 2 years, graduated there with somewhere over a 3, transferred into the workforce. Actually, I spent a lot of time in the workforce before returning to school. And then when I returned to school, I ended up graduating with a 3.8 because I had matured enough to where I was no longer that high school student who did good on tests but didn't take any seriousness to the schoolwork. So now that you know this, and you can look at this and you can probably get a pretty decent idea of where your student and where your family falls on this metric, you can then start to say, okay, well, what schools look for my type of student? And we can sit down and we can say things like, it may be a real situation like we're choosing between a really well-known school in the Cleveland area and a really well-known school in the Columbus area, and maybe it's not Ohio State versus Michigan versus Harvard versus Notre Dame. Like maybe we're not doing those kind of decisions, but maybe what we're doing is we're saying, well, based on the merit scholarships that are available, maybe Case Western is a better school to choose than to go to a more needs-based school like the Harvards and the Notre Dames, where if you qualify and you have need-based, they're going to let you in, but they're not necessarily going to give you scholarship money just because you're smart, because everyone who applies there is smart. So knowing these types of things can help you pick the right college for your budget and for your student. If you need help, reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help you kind of walk through and figure out exactly where you fall on this chart. But other than that, then take the time, know a little bit about what you're doing, do your research, and reach out to us if you've got any questions. My name's Michael.